The message blinked at the corner of my screen, 8 words that erased 38 years of sisterhood. You're not invited to Christmas this year. I stared until the cursor stopped blinking. The glow from the laptop painted my reflection across the screen, hair pulled tight, uniform collar still stiff from the ceremony, a faint trace of exhaustion under the eyes. Outside the dorm window, December's breath iced the glass. I could almost hear the wind whisper through the base hangars. 38 years, and this was how she ended it. No Eve, no sorry, just a clean surgical cut. Lauren always preferred efficiency over empathy. Even when we were kids, she wrapped cruelty in manners, and people called it maturity. I thought of Christmas 1996, the smell of pine and gingerbread, Lauren's laughter spilling from the kitchen while I watched through the frost-fogged window. My stocking hung limp beside hers, empty, forgotten. Mother had said, "Santa ran out of time, sweetie." Lauren had giggled and offered me one of her chocolates like a queen granting mercy. The taste was hollow. That was the first winter I understood what it meant to stand outside the circle. A draft slipped under the door, stirring the papers on my desk. I closed the email, but its afterimage clung to my eyelids. Not invited. The phrase felt less like exclusion and more like eviction from a life I'd spent decades trying to earn. Mark knocked softly before stepping in, balancing 2 paper cups. "Cocoa emergency," he said, half a smile on his lips. He read the air before asking, "Another crisis from home." I turned the screen toward him. He leaned close, scanning the short sentence. For a moment, he said nothing, just breathed out through his nose the way he did when a machine failed a stress test. "Cold message," he murmured. "She finally said it out loud," I replied. My voice came steadier than I felt. Mark set the cups down, his fingers brushing mine. "You don't have to go," he offered. I wasn't planning to. I tried to sound casual. "Apparently, I'm no longer part of the guest list." He tilted his head. "You could host your own Christmas, you know." The thought drew a dry laugh. A party? No. A mission. He studied me, measuring whether I was joking. I wasn't. When he left, the room felt smaller. I scrolled back through old messages, routine family check-ins, obligatory holiday photos, polite reminders. Then one from 3 years ago, "Need your ID for a small thing. Just paperwork." Lauren's words warm back then. I didn't remember replying, but the thread showed my sent confirmation. I opened the attachment, a scanned signature request from a joint account I didn't recognize. My pulse ticked higher. "Small thing," she'd said. The cursor blinked again like a heartbeat. Outside, snow started to fall, soft, relentless. I opened a new document, fingers hovering above the keys. Title line first, Operation Aspen, Mission Briefing. The letters looked sharp, military, deliberate. "If they don't want me at their table, I'll build one of my own." Mark called it a Christmas party. I called it payback wrapped in fairy lights. 10 days after the email, we drove into Aspen through a storm that looked like forgiveness. The cabin smelled of pine and new beginnings. Mark dropped a box of tangled lights, laughing. "Logistics, ma'am." "I remember someone suggesting I should host my own Christmas," I said. "Consider this the field test." We made lists. Guests, anyone who'd ever been told they didn't belong. Supplies, wreath, flag tree, courage. I pinned a card on the fridge, Operation Aspen, tasking. By dusk, the place looked half ready, half hopeful. The tree leaned, then straightened as Mark adjusted it. I set a brass bell low, a scorched wooden star, high symbols of breakage and repair. Butter and cinnamon blurred the windows. Silent Night hummed from a cheap speaker. They arrived in 2s and 3s, Captain Miller, Allison, Ramirez, Dalton faces I'd once seen under desert sun, now flushed by firelight. Allison's phone was already live. "The most disciplined Christmas party ever," she joked to her viewers. "Don't slander my angles," I said, waving them in. Laughter replaced the hum of the bass. Someone poured cider, someone tuned a battered guitar. For the first time in months, the air didn't taste of duty. Ramirez told a mess tent story. Dalton lit sparklers for scientific purposes only. Mark ran the oven like a launch pad. The cabin filled with noise that felt like home. When Allison pointed her camera at me, I hesitated. then raised my mug. This isn't about revenge. It's about belonging. If you were told there wasn't a seat for you, there's one here. The crowd cheered, snow pressed against the windows as if listening. Her live stream caught the warmth, the flag breathing on the porch light across faces unafraid to laugh. She tagged it careless and perfect Hart family Christmas before tossing the phone aside to dance. The night spun itself gold. Friends' kids built pillow forts. The medic dozed with a dog on his boots. I stood at the sink watching my reflection blur in the dark glass, a woman remade by noise and kindness. Somewhere the clip began its climb through strangers' feeds. By the next evening it had spread past Allison's circle. Strangers praised the tree, the uniforms, the way we leaned toward each other like survivors finding heat. I didn't read the comments. I just listened to the laughter around me and thought, this is mine now. On Christmas Eve, candles lined the mantel, each flame a heartbeat. I looped the last ribbon and stepped back. Mark came out with 2 mugs of cider, glancing at my buzzing phone. The name on the screen froze us both. She saw it, he said. Good, I answered. Let her. I left the messages unopened, the phone alive in my palm. Inside, Allison laughed again, the room blooming with sound. I realized I wasn't trying to prove her wrong, only that I still existed. Snow drifted through porch light like soft applause sparklers dying into silver ash. Somewhere down in Denver, Lauren's face stiffened around my name. When she saw it, I knew the next knock wouldn't be Santa's. The moment her name flashed on my phone, I knew the video had done its job. You really think you can humiliate me online? Lauren's voice cut through the quiet like a blade through glass. Snowlight bled across the counter. The cabin still smelled of cinnamon and burnt pine from the party. I turned on speaker steady. You chose not to invite me. I chose not to disappear. You always twist things, she snapped. Take it down. No. A long breath brittle. People are sending it to me. You looked proud. I said, and the silence afterward was almost kind. Then the line clicked dead. For a moment, all I could hear was the hum of the fridge and my pulse. I looked at the blank screen. When she saw it, I'd said that last night, half a warning, half a prophecy. Now it was a fact. I opened my laptop to clear old emails, a ritual to steady myself. Typing her name brought up years of threads, family updates, holiday plans, her little notes full of control disguised as care. Then one caught my eye, 3 years old, subject blank. Need your ID for a small thing. The body read, just paperwork. Please send a scan, I'd replied. Attached a PDF. The file opened. A co-sign agreement. My name beside hers, signature curving in a hand almost mine. But the Y in heart didn't anchor right. The numbers at the corner were jammed too close, a signature pretending to breathe. Someone had used my name. Mark wandered in with 2 plates of pie. Breakfast peace offering, I turned the screen toward him. He frowned. Eve. I'm not angry, I said. I'm insulted. He hesitated. Don't let emotion drive the car. This isn't about anger. It's about truth. I called the bank listed on the form. After 2 transfers, a calm voice answered. Mr. Lang, Verification Department. I explained the situation, attached the file. 10 minutes later, his reply came. The document appears irregular. Signature shape doesn't match your records. Timestamp inconsistent. Likely forged. The word landed clean forged. A strange peace spread through me. I thanked him and agreed to meet that afternoon. Before shutting the laptop, a new email appeared. From Lauren. Take down the video or I'll make you regret it. No greeting, no punctuation, just threat. I forwarded it to a legal contact at Base Context for potential harassment. Then I packed the file into a folder and drove through the white blur of late morning snow to the bank. Mr. Lang looked exactly like a man who believed in neat truths. His tie matched his voice, steady, formal. He compared my live signature to the scan and said, "This one breaks at pressure points. Yours tapers. Also, our system didn't exist the year stamped here." He handed me a form. Sign to open an internal review. We'll freeze all activity linked to that account. I signed. The stamp clicked, a quiet, satisfying sound like a verdict delivered. Back home, the sun sagged low, turning snow into a sheet of gold. Messages from friends blinked across my phone. Loved the party. You looked so happy. And then beneath them, Lauren again. We're not done. I didn't answer. I sat by the window, notebook open, writing the only sentence that mattered. She stole my name once. I'll take it back in front of everyone. Mark read it over my shoulder and didn't speak. The silence between us was agreement. I stood, dialed her number. She picked up on the second ring. We need to talk, not over the phone, I said, my voice level as ice. Pause. Then, fine. Denver. Tomorrow. Tomorrow, I repeated and ended the call. I slipped the envelope from the bank into my bag, turned off the lights one by one. The cabin sank into shadow, the kind that waits for truth to walk in. Tomorrow, she'd see more than just a video. I chose the cafe because it was loud. People confess more easily when they think no one's listening. December 27th, late afternoon. Copper Fox Cafe smelled of roasted beans and melted snow. The bell above the door kept time with my pulse as I waited by the window. Winter light slid across the glass like a knife polishing itself. The envelope from Mr. Lang rested under my palm, steady weight for a shaking truth. Lauren arrived 10 minutes late, for collar, high perfume over nerves. Her lipstick was perfect, her eyes weren't. You wanted to talk, she asked, voice soft enough for the crowd. You borrowed $120,000 under my name. Her laugh cracked. You can't prove. Actually, a calm voice said behind her, she can. Mr. Lang set a folder on the table, his tone professional, almost kind. 2 signatures, one authentic, one forged. Timestamp doesn't match the bank system. The account's frozen pending review. Lauren blinked at the pages as if they might rearrange. I didn't mean to ruin you, she whispered. I just needed a chance. Then you should have asked for one, I said. Not stolen it. Around us, the cafe kept breathing, cups, landing milk, steaming, the bell chiming. But the sound felt far away, as if the room had tilted toward our table. You've always had everything, she muttered. Uniform, husband, people who clap when you walk in. You had my name, I said, and you used it. Mr. Lang closed the file and nodded. We'll finalize the freeze and open an audit. Then he left, a small echo of justice following him through the door. Lauren's fingers traced her latte's rim. Is this how you win? Make a scene. You damaged yourself and called it loyalty, I said. I slid her a second envelope. Legal notice. The bank's freezing your account. The audit starts today. Her jaw trembled. I can fix it. You can admit it. I was drowning, she said. Mike lost his job. Clara's tuition. Say her name and stop using it as a shield, I replied. If you'd asked, I might have helped. You chose theft and threat. Her glance darted to my phone. Take down the video. It stays, I said. It was never about you. The light warmed through the glass, brushing her face with a truth too visible to ignore. I pulled the final document from my bag, Mr. Lang's letter, stamped and signed. She read, then pinched the bridge of her nose as if pain could reverse ink. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said again, voice paper thin. I came for peace, not pity. I rose. She caught my sleeve, desperate. You win. No, Lauren. I just stopped losing. Her grip fell. For a moment we shared the same reflection, 2 sisters divided by consequence, framed by winter light. Then the bell rang again, and the door opened, letting in a rush of air sharp enough to erase hesitation. I'll tell the bank the truth, she murmured. Start there, I said. Then tell Clara something she can believe. I left her at the table, eyes fixed on a cooling latte, and the ring it left behind, proof small and perfect that something once existed and was now finished. The barista met my eyes with quiet understanding. Outside, Denver's wind caught the edge of my coat and tasted clean, almost new. Justice, maybe. Or just Denver air. The snow had stopped, but silence lingered, the kind that follows after something finally breaks. 3 days after Denver, the cabin felt wider, quieter. Morning light spilled across the floorboards where pine needles still clung from the party. Mark hummed an old jazz tune while polishing glasses for the New Year's gathering. I stirred cocoa on the stove, breathing in warmth that felt borrowed. No anger, now just space. My phone buzzed. Mr. Lang's calm voice, the audit's begun. Ms. Hayes resigned from the account. It's moving toward right. I thanked him. When I hung up, Mark glanced over. It's ending, I said. He nodded as if endings were just quieter beginnings. A soft knock. I opened the door to Chloe pink cheeks, snow-dusted hair, clutching an envelope with my name. Mom asked me to give you this, she said. 16 honest trembling. Come in, I said. Fire's warm. She stepped inside, eyes darting over the mantel, the folded flag, the tree still half lit. We sat. She held her cocoa like a secret. I opened the letter. I don't ask for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I finally saw what I did. Then one last line, faint as breath. I'm sorry for the way I carried your name. I read it twice slowly. No tears, no relief, just understanding. She wanted to come, Chloe whispered. But she couldn't face you. She already did, I said. Just not the way she wanted. The cafe flickered back in my mind, her eyes the folder, the truth finally unshakable. Chloe nodded. She said it was okay that I came. Her voice quivered like new glass. I rose, opened a small box on the shelf, and took out the old stocking, the one that once hung empty beside Lauren's. I placed it on the mantel again. When I turned, Chloe had slipped something inside. I reached in a photo of two girls in wool hats, 1998, written on the back, and a note. For when you forget. I smiled despite myself. Thank you, I said. For remembering. She shrugged, eyes on the fire. I poured her another cup. Let's start over, kiddo. She laughed softly. Can I still call you Aunt Eve? You'd better. We talked a while about school, the paper she wanted to write on women who fix what they didn't break. Between us, the letter lay folded like a tool retired from use. When she stood to leave, she said, Mom's trying. Not excuse, not plea, just truth. I came for peace, not pity, I said. Tell her I read it. She nodded, paused at the door. Can I come back tonight? For the countdown, you don't have to ask. When she left, I held the photo toward the firelight. Two girls smiled back, who we were before the noise. Maybe justice isn't about who wins. Maybe it's about who learns. I folded Lauren's letter once, twice, and touched it to the flame. The paper curled, releasing words into smoke. It wasn't punishment, it was release. She wasn't forgiven or condemned. She was understood. Outside, dusk turned the snow gold. Mark lit candles and tuned the radio to soft jazz. Friends would arrive soon. The stocking hung again, no longer a symbol of absence, but of memory. I slipped the photo back inside. Chloe returned before midnight, laughing, hat crooked. We toasted with cocoa for her wine for us. Music filled the cabin, easy and human. When midnight came, the stocking wasn't empty anymore, and neither was I. I've learned that silence can wound as deeply as words, and that justice doesn't always arrive wrapped in applause. If you've ever been shut out by the people who should have stood beside you, don't shrink. Speak, act, rebuild your own table if theirs won't make room. I don't want your pity. I want your understanding. Every time I looked away from the hurt, it grew sharper. Every time I faced it, I became freer. So if my story finds you in your own winter, remember forgiveness isn't surrender, and standing tall isn't pride. It's survival with dignity intact.